Welcome, everyone, to the first official post of Picks and Pucks. We made it. We're finally here. I do apologize about the long wait. I have a couple of followers, really, so it's not, that big of a deal right now. But I do apologize for the wait. I've been moving, a new apartment, just been getting sick, just kind of really have not been feeling up to doing a video, but now we're finally here, and I'm really hoping to get this thing started. So what better way to start it off than with the Stanley Cup Finals? You got it. So what I've been doing really for the past couple years is I've had a stats blog where I do statistical predictions for each round of the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, mainly, it's to try and be as unbiased as possible, because there can be some series in there where I'm just like, okay, I really hate this team. I don't want them to win. Well, this is kind of taking that out of it. So I would take a couple statistics like goals for, goals against, Corsi, just to try and get the whole picture of offense, defense, goaltending, possession numbers, that kind of thing. And then, I would compare the teams playing each other, and then whoever is, better in the more categories of the stats, that's who would, win that series. So that's kind of what I was trying to do for this series. I already wrote my stats blog this morning. You can check it out on my Twitter page. I will post it to the actual Picks and Pucks Twitter page later on. So let's get this thing rolling. So I think what I'm going to do here is basically erase the stat that is lesser. So, like, essentially, the Capitals have more goals against here than the Golden Knights do. So I would erase that. So whoever has more standing at the end, I want to count those up, and then whoever is winning, or whoever has the more points, is going to be the winner. So, spoiler alert, in my stats blog, the Golden Knights swept what I had written down. And what I've been using in my stats blog is just the regular season stats, and I've only been using the goals for per game, the goals against, the save percentage, and the Corsi. And then I've been also comparing the season matchup as well, and the Knights have won both matchups there. But for this video purposes, I wanted to do both regular season and playoff stats, and I wanted to take a look at the records and then the home and the away records as well, just to kind of see maybe, okay, who might have the edge on the road or on the home, and who plays better where, just to get a little more in-depth at that rate. So let's start off with the records here. So they're pretty similar, as you can tell. They're only 4 points apart in the regular season. Obviously the same amount of wins, since they're made it to the Cup Finals. They're going to have 12 wins each. But the Capitals have definitely played more games, so they have more losses. So it is pretty obvious to tell here that the Knights, are already the better team. So hopefully this erases decently. And I'm sorry, I'm going to actually get a eraser eventually. So sorry if I'm using my finger right now. It's gonna probably look messy at the end, but here we go. We're making do with what we got. So now we're gonna look at the home records. So again, it's kind of a marginal difference here for the regular season. It's only 2-point difference, which I'm actually kind of surprised about, because Vegas was, the stigma they got towards the end of the season. I don't know if stigma is the right word there, because it wasn't a bad thing, but what they got towards the end of the season is that no one could beat them at home. So to see that the Capitals are only 2 points behind, it's kind of surprising there. But they still have the edge, so that's gonna go. And in the playoffs, now this is where it gets real different. And the Capitals, they're 500 at home. Golden Knights are 7-1 at home. This is kind of more of what you would think the split would be, knowing how good the Golden Knights are at home. So again, the Golden Knights are taking a complete sweep of the home records. And that is gone. All right, so here we go. So now we're doing the away stats, and then again, very similar for the regular season, only 2 points behind for the Capitals. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to say there. I mean, obviously the Golden Knights have the edge with 2 points, but they're both good teams on the road, and I think that also shows in the playoff stats as well. So obviously the Golden Knights have the edge in the regular season, so I will erase that. But now we're at kind of a little conundrum, because this is where the whole aspect of the Capitals playing more games than the Knights in the playoffs comes into picture. So they have a 7-2 record versus a 5-2 record for the Knights. And I mean, I almost want to give this one to the Capitals, mainly because they don't have any yet, and I am rooting for the Capitals just a little bit. I want Ovi to win a cup so badly, and Golden Knights, rivals of the Coyotes. It's like, I love the story, but I really, really want to see Ovechkin win the cup. It's like, Shane Doan can't ever win a cup. I'd love to see Ovechkin win the cup. I mean, they're not really comparable players, obviously, but they both, Shane Doan has meant so much to this community here, and he never really got a shot at the cup. So that kind of aspect of it with Ovechkin, and then the added on aspect that he is probably the greatest goal scorer of my generation, I really, really want to see him win a cup so badly. So I will be definitely rooting for the Capitals in this one. But I think I will definitely give them this one, because they have played more games on the road and they have won more games on the road. So I will give this one to the Capitals. Kind of a slight pity point, but I think they deserve it. So that's kind of another interesting topic too, because the Capitals are playing very well on the road. I'm going to be interested in these first 2 games here in Vegas, because they've been playing so good on the road. If they can take maybe one of these first 2 games from Vegas, I mean, they could have a real good shot at pushing it to 7 and maybe winning that 7th game. I mean, who knows? This one is going to be such a toss-up. I mean, the stats so far show Golden Knights are going to completely run away with it, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that much of a runaway. So let's move on to goals for per game. So now in the regular season, the Golden Knights were scoring more. I mean, by just ever so slightly. Those are very slight margins there. But they are scoring more in the regular season, so the Capitals are going to have to be erased there. But what's interesting that changes here is in the playoffs, and just how much more of a difference the Capitals are scoring than the Golden Knights. That is, I mean, it's not quite a full goal per game, but it's almost there, and that's pretty important for them. They don't. I think Vegas as a team plays better defensively, but the Capitals have had to go through good defensive teams in Tampa and in Pittsburgh. So to be able to be scoring this much so far in the playoffs, that's pretty impressive, and that could potentially carry them through in this. So I'm gonna actually have to erase this one officially on the Golden Knights. Kind of sad, but it is what it is. Now we're going to move on to the defense. This is measuring goals against per game. So we are at, again, Golden Knights are winning this, 2.74 goals against per game. I mean, Fleury, as much as, he only played around, a little over half the season. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know it was a little over half the season, because he played around the same games as, this guy over here, Antti Raanta, amazing goalie. So glad he signed. Anyway, so yeah, Golden Knights are going to be winning that category for sure. And now here's kind of where, like I was just saying on the goals for per game, it's kind of the exact opposite in the goals against per game. 1.8 goals against per game. Not even letting up 2 goals per game, the Golden Knights and Fleury. That is ridiculous. I mean, okay, for sure they've had to play LA. They're not a high-scoring team. San Jose is kind of in the middle, but they've had to play the Jets. And to be able to still retain a less than 2 goals per game, after playing 5 games against the Jets, that's amazing. So I think it's at this point it's clear to me how the Knights are going to win this series, and it's basically defense and goaltending. And I think that can be said about a lot of the winners in the past years. Defense and goaltending. I mean, you can score as many goals as you want, but look at the Oilers. If you let in so many goals a game, then it's going to just outweigh each other, and you're going to end up losing many games. So that is incredible. 1.8. I mean, it's unreal. When I saw that when I was looking this up, it was just mind-blowing. It's incredible. So that is going to be going away there. So now we're going to look at save percentages. Now this is for Holtby and this is for Fleury. So Holtby for the regular season, Fleury regular season, you get it. So Holtby had a really low save percentage in the regular season, which is kind of surprising because he's usually been towards the top. Now I don't follow the Capitals that closely, so I don't know if he was necessarily injured or if it was just a down season. If any Capitals fans are watching this game, write me a comment and let me know because I would love to know. But yeah, that seems kind of like a down season for him. He's usually in the .91 to .92 category. He's definitely usually a top 5 to 10 goalies over the last couple of years. So that number is surprising to me. So, but I mean, Fleury had a .927. I know he didn't play a lot of this season, but I still think he probably should be the Vezina winner. I mean, a .927. It's a great save percentage, and he's just been amazing. I personally think he's the Conn Smythe winner this year. If they end up losing, then maybe you give that to Ovechkin, but Marc-Andre Fleury has easily been the best player of the playoffs, and that's seen here with the .947 save percentage in the playoffs. So obviously Fleury is going to win both categories, but I mean it cannot be overstated enough how good Fleury has been in the season and in the playoffs. He absolutely should be the Conn Smythe winner, I think, whether he wins or loses this series, in my opinion, which hasn't happened since I think the Ducks lost. I forget who it was to, but I remember it was JSG Gare who won that. And I think it's kind of a similar situation. So Marc-Andre Fleury is easily the best player in the playoffs right now. I think Ovi kind of coming close to it. But I have to erase this and this, unfortunately. So now we're going to get into Corsi for percentage. Now Corsi is, I know the amount of shots, they're just shots in general. They're on the net, they're blocked, or on the net, they're blocked, or they miss the net. So now this is the percentage because it's those stats divided by, I think, all of the shots in the game. So it's kind of a measurement of how much of the game you're shooting the puck versus the other of the game. I hope I'm explaining that correctly, but it's kind of a crude way to measure possession without actually like setting a timer on how much a team is holding the puck and passing the puck to each other. So it's I like it, but I don't like it for that reason because it's, shots are split second. Shots don't necessarily tell you the game. I've seen games where the shots are lopsided by 15 to 20 shots, but the team with the lesser shots wins. So you kind of want to take this one with a little bit of grain of salt, but as you can tell, Vegas is definitely winning in those categories. It's not really that close in the regular season. I think a 3% difference is actually fairly substantial. Usually you'll see like a 50 and a 49 like you're seeing here in the playoffs, but when it's that's kind of a big difference. So it's clear to me that even though it's just over 50% for both regular season and playoffs for the Golden Knights, they are possessing the puck a little bit more, which I think kind of helps obviously with their defense because they say you defend by attacking or something like that. So they're keeping the puck away from the other team. Maybe they're not necessarily scoring, but they're definitely keeping the puck away from the other team, and that is a huge aspect of playing good hockey, in my opinion. So I have to erase this, and I have to erase that. And I'm sorry that it is really kind of messy over on this side. My little stand here was a cheapo music stand, so it's kind of wobbly. Hopefully I'll upgrade that eventually at some point. But it is pretty clear. I mean, the stats are showing that the Golden Knights are going to win this. And, you know, I think I might have to agree. I mean, you know, they're just playing damn good hockey. You just can't ignore it anymore. And you shouldn't really have been ignoring it after they swept LA. I think that was the point where people should have really started to believe, and I didn't believe it until now. But it's amazing what they've done. And I think it was this time last year where they literally didn't even have a team. They might have had some kind of a team outlined with all the deals that, you know, the GMs have made behind the scenes. They might have had some kind of outline, some kind of idea, but they didn't actually have a full team. They had no idea who was going to be out playing for them. And to be in the finals right now, it's unreal. And the same thing for the Capitals too. They've had to overcome a lot of demons. Not only did they move on past the second round for, I think, the first or second time in the last decade, but they had to beat the Penguins to do it. And I believe it was their last 10 times playing the Penguins. They've only beaten them once, not including this one, but they've only beaten them once out of the last 10 times. I mean, that's a pretty big deal to overcome, for them anyway. And I mean, with the Penguins being the last two winners, it's a big deal, I think. Plus, they had to go and beat Tampa Bay, who was also arguably one of the best teams in these playoffs, and they went and beat them in 6 games. It was 7 games. Check that, it was 7 games. I think I could be wrong, but they beat them anyway, and which is impressive because, you know, you're probably going into that looking at Tampa and the Capitals, with the Capitals kind of not having much postseason success in their past years. And Tampa, being one of the best teams in the league all season long, to then go ahead and beat them to get to the finals. I said this in my blog post, but I want to say it here because I think it's perfect. It's a duel of the fates. It's fate that they're both here, and I know that's a Star Wars reference. I love Star Wars. I hope you do too. That's awesome. But it's really a duel of the fates, and I think it's going to be a really good Stanley Cup final, and it's nice that there's fresh teams in here, teams that we have not seen in the Stanley Cup finals, and I think that's what I am most excited about, honestly. I'm excited to not see Pittsburgh. I'm excited to not see Chicago or LA. I'm done looking at those teams. I'm done watching those teams. I'm done with Pierre talking about those teams. New blood. Thank God. This is going to be exciting. It's going down tonight. I am so excited. Definitely rooting for the Capitals, but it's kind of convincing me that the Golden Knights might actually pull this one off, and that would just be the most unreal thing we've ever seen. So, go Caps, go, but also let's just have some good hockey. That's all I think myself and other people who are not really fans of either team want. We just want really good, entertaining hockey, and I think that's what we're going to get. So, thank you for watching if you made it this far. I hope this was interesting. I hope taking an unbiased approach is kind of unique in a way. But I really love stats. I love looking at stats. And so doing this is something that I absolutely just love to do. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back again for another video, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you would like to. You don't have to, that's fine, but I would love it if you subscribed, and hope you have a good day, and happy hockey.